Hello. I ain't gonna believe it, but I did it again. Got a 1983 EXP here. It has the 1.6 high output, and it has 5-speed, even has air conditioning, and the option list more or less ends there. But I still gotta do a little bit of checking. The seats are this kind of style. I got these in a red 83 high output 5-speed car, where they're half felt, half vinyl or leather, but realistically, I believe it's pretty much just vinyl. But on the red ones, both halves are red. On this one, the inserts are like white or gray, and I think that's correct. I don't think that's faded. I think that's absolutely correct, but possibly I'm wrong. And these are the high backs. I have seen low backs versions of these, kind of similar to what my 81 Escort has. But this weave of fabric is a lot hardier. It's real strong, but even these are quite nice. But anywho, being an 83, it does have a locking gas cap. You have to pull the lever to release the fuel door. In the back here, someone actually laid some sacrificial carpet over the existing carpet, and the existing carpet looks absolutely perfectly fine. As far as the rest of the interior goes, it is all black. These little side pockets are really nice. They're not folded over in the two top corners like most of them are. One more option is it does have dual door mirrors. And that's about it. No tilting steering. Everything else is just kind of the way that these cars come with. 83, so it has an armrest. 83, so there's not really anything fancy with any of these cluster bezels. They're all kind of blacked out. And being an 83, the gauges are I don't want to say basic, but they're very monotone. It's all just white and that tangerine color, that orangish yellow. So all the needles and colors should be just like this yellow 5,500 RPM zone. So that's what I gotta double check. I don't know. I thought everything was supposed to be white except for the highlights. That would be yellow, and then all the needles would be yellow. And then down here, it's the same story. These needles should also be yellow. So sometime I'll pick up the correct yellow in like a tester's enamel, and then we'll lay it on there, like I've done with all of my 82s. For those, I use a tester's high vis or a reflective orange. Fits the part quite well. Someone I see has had this apart and re-glued the emblem on from the outside. It should be glued on from the back side, and I'm guessing this whole ring is glued on too. And I gotta double check, but I'm pretty sure that emblem's just upside down. There's no cruise control, but there is AC. It does have the clock and no clock delete. That was a thing for EXPs. You could order up the clock delete because clock was standard, and clock delete would save you $25, something like that. 5-speed, being it's an 83, it is this shift pattern, what I call the if you guys have seen my meme, that's the Cornholio shift pattern. But otherwise, I do call it the Space Invaders pattern. The other one is the even pattern, where reverse is underneath 5. But on all the 81 to 83, and I think maybe even 84s are the same way. But the 81 through 84, the reverse is always on the left, and then starts your 1, 2, 3, 4 pattern. And then if you do have a 5-speed, 5 is going to be completely other end of the spectrum as reverse. But in 85, they changed the transmissions, and you can tell because the shift boot is entirely different and the shift pattern is different. They move reverse down here below 5th. So even if you have a 4-speed, it will look kind of like this with reverse here and just no fifth. If you have a 5-speed, it looks like this with reverse down in this bottom right corner. So that's pretty neat. Put my parking mode back on. Everything else not too crazy special or notable inside. The dash is faded, but we'll strip it out and then paint the dash, put it back in after I attempt to fill in some of these cracks. Really not bad. It's got some sort of amount of sun real bad right in the defrost area. I've never seen these get that bad around here, and I've seen dozens of these cars now. So we'll tend to all of those and we'll shoot it black. We'll make these speaker grills fit better after we put in modern speakers, so then we're all hunky-dory there. And then we'll get a nice padded dash cover like my blue car has. Some of you might have seen that. Being an 83, it also has unique sun visors. They all have or I shouldn't say they all have, but a lot of times they will have these little trays for things like credit cards, notepads, or whatever. And so you can see I got to do the sun visor tightening mod to this. Then seems I may have to fix some of the holes that the screws go into. Trim otherwise looks perfect. My A-pillar pieces are uncracked, and these ones are actually fairly flexible. So we're going to keep an effort in protecting these. Does still have its hooks. This appears to be either this. I don't think this is the stock headliner. I think someone glued some vinyl over it and then call her a day. In the back we'll open up the trunk, but this has the unique vanity curtain in the rear cargo cover. So I finally have a black one. That only took forever. What you'll see when I pop open the trunk, it's a unique style. It's still got these locking hooks, and it does drape over the front, but it secures to the car via these button snaps that go along the sides of the cars. And a friend of mine had found a 83 high output 5-speed car in a salvage yard a few hours away in Minnesota. It was black, but it even had the same exact hockey stripe decal on it. And that too had a similar cargo cover, but the cover was long gone. Someone had pitched it. But I knew it had the similar one because it has these pop tabs in it. And I even have two of the smaller interior pieces. I have these back two pieces because those were easy enough for him to grab and gather. And yeah, it had like this hold down strap here. I don't know what this is for really, but my center pieces have this too from that parts car I was talking about. I don't know what that was for. I'm wondering if you could fold this up and some way somehow you could stick it inside that and it would keep it from rolling around in the back of the car. That's something I'm going to check into sometime. We'll do a deep dive on this cargo cover. I have to do one on all my other cargo covers because there's a boatload for these EXPs. I've run across so many different ones. Here we are, another new one. Down there's two sun visor pieces, actually. For those who have never seen these, they're pretty cool. They're made from a company called Auto Vent Shades Company in Lawrenceville, Georgia at the time. And they simply go underneath these clips. And they go inside the window channel. And they stay there. These ones are chrome they were chromed on the outside, but someone had painted the insides a satin black, and I'm going to do the same so that when they go on here, they look perfectly at home. Chrome on these look very out of place, especially on the 83 forward cars, because come 83 they even got rid of the chrome door lock knobs. They got rid of the, open this up. They did keep the chrome mirror adjusters, but they got rid of the chrome cigarette lighters. The chrome radio knobs are all black now. Some of the chrome trim has just been replaced with simply metallic silver. The headlight switch way over there, that's no longer chrome, it's black. So what little chrome that these had to begin with has all just been replaced. You can see here this one also has the door striker recall. Has red tail lights. The hockey stripe decals are just so freaking cool. But the car has been repainted. This is not the original silver. I believe it to be the same color, but this is not the silver the car was born with. Underneath the hatch, this is the said silver I speak of. Whoever repainted it, they masked around pretty much everything and then just ended up shooting it. It does have the EXP 5-speed decals. It's not EFI, so it doesn't have those decals. Someone's replaced the muffler at some point with a generic Escort replacement. I don't know if the door guards are, I'm pretty sure they're not factory. They're usually real thin like those ones for the EXPs, and for LN7s they'd be thicker than these, or I should say taller than these. But you can see in some places that they've been riveted on, and there's some silver overspray on them from when they masked it and shot it again. And there's silver overspray in all different corners of the car. It's a pretty good repaint, and from 5 feet away the car just looks spectacular. Absolutely love it. But you get within a couple feet and you start seeing some errors, like when they laid these decals on, they left some air bubbles inside these tic-tac-toe C-pillars, sail panels. And I'm still trying to find out if these decals are original or if someone had them replicated. They're different from the decals that I have, my new old stock decals. And you can see that they might have been painted over. Yeah, there's some silver overspray on these, so these were probably always on the car. And then they just masked around them best they could and then shot the car silver again. But it still needs a really good cleaning. Here's dirt and filth all over this guy, but it's still in extremely nice shape, so we're just going to keep it inside and take it primarily to car shows and whatnot. The few flaws it has where paint's not perfect, it won't take much to make it perfect. But sadly, some things like this hood, we're just gonna have to, either fill in those cracks or sand it down to metal, address the area, and then just blend the paint the best we can. The whole car could use a repaint, but being that it has the decals, I just can't bring myself to distorting those or giving it another layer of paint, of all things. But pop the hood open. This is one of the few that I've actually seen that still has its hood liner, and this guy even has 140,000 miles. Been equipped with a new battery. Supposedly what's going on with this guy is it was getting driven to its new owner a few years back, and on the way there it suffered coolant loss followed by an overheat. And looking at the radiator, there's some coolant stains down there. I think this guy had sprung a leak. That's something that's becoming extremely common. And the big problem is no one's making radiators for these, so you're really screwed out of luck if something happens to these guys. Sadly, I don't have the build buck tag here. That's missing. That's what the screw was holding in, and that would say what color it originally was, and some of the other options. It would say that it has air conditioning, It might even give an interior code sometimes, but it would say, if it had power steering, it would say so, but this is just manual steering. And it should say HO for the high output engine, but I could be wrong. Let's see, the AC lines have been spliced into once, at least. The compressor is still there, as is the silly shell mount that I can't freaking stand. I'll probably get it updated and swap to an 84 up compressor like I've been trying to do with all my cars. But yeah, so extremely cool. Absolutely love it. Can't wait to start doing more to it. It does have like a tint application on the inside of the windscreen, but it's otherwise undamaged. When I first got this, I saw that, I thought, oh shit, that's a crack, and that windshield's gonna have to come out. But nope, we're good. That's just tint, and I'm pretty sure I'll just end up removing that. Not too fond of it, being there's a clear-cut line where it stops. I can't stand that. But overall, it's in pretty good shape, and there's some more bubbling paint up here, and like I said, a lot of that I'll just have to live with until I have no choice but to repaint it, but we'll see where we go. Oh, the I forgot to mention the wheels. The wheels that are on this car did not come with. They're the ones that I supplied. I had gotten this all the way over in Maryland, and we had just got back from our, what was it, 35 hours of driving over this last weekend. And luckily I got most of today off to kind of recuperate from it. But we went all the way there to Maryland in our car, and then we picked up a tow dolly there in Maryland, just a few miles from where this was residing. And I had brought my Cougar wheels with it, because these are from my daily driver, because I know that those tires were nearly brand new. They only have like 3,000 miles on them, so I knew they'd last the trip. I knew that the wheels would fit without issue, and we were so I just throw these on, all four of them, so it sits at the same height, put it on the tow dolly, and then we drug this thing all the way home. Before we left, it's the home where this was residing. I had checked over the rear wheel bearings, and everything seemed good. It also made sure that the rear brakes were not dragging. Those seem perfectly fine, but we'll go through them before it gets back on the road. But we were having some issues as we were going along. I don't know if this side, yeah, the side doesn't seem to have the problems like the other side does. Maybe a little bit, but about halfway, because we went all the way to Maryland from Wisconsin. So right after we got back to our hotel in Ohio, just on the other, just within Ohio limits, on our way back home, we reached our hotel, and I thought, well, we're at a good point. It's only been like 5-7 hours of driving. We'll check these out, make sure that the bearings are still good, and they both needed adjusting. One side was fairly loose, and the driver's side was pretty snug, but to do so, you jack up the rear end, and then you turn the wheel. But I was feeling some resistance, and I heard a little bit of squeaking. I take the wheel off, and I see that some of the paint and undercoating in the wheel well would rub off. Apparently, the tire was rubbing against the wheel well. Somewhere between Maryland and Pennsylvania, something happened with the suspension that it brought the rear wheel inward, and it was rubbing against the wheel well. That's interesting, because I've never had that issue with these wheels on my 82. So I knew something was up, but plus it was perfectly fine when we put them on at the guy's place. So I looked around for places that sold spacers. O'Reilly's always used to, but now they don't, or at least down there. Down there they only have 5-lug and 6-lug spacers. Big help. So those wouldn't work. So I snugged up the wheel bearings some, and I tried squeezing a little bit of positive camber out of the shocks in the back, and that helped get a credit card through most of the spots. But I did have a big hammer with me, so sadly while I was in the O'Reilly's parking lot, I was swinging some dents into the wheel well just so that this wheel could kind of clear. None of it's irreversible. It's all easy to do. If I had the wheels off, I could better show you, but yeah, hey, there we go. You can hardly see anything, but you can see just on the right here that there's this part that protrudes out, and it's kind of like a U-shaped steel reinforcement that goes up. It's kind of what strengthens the wheel well, having that. But you can hammer them in so that they're no longer, so that the round kind of goes square. And that was all I needed for this to clear 1/4 of an inch. So then I was fine to go all the way down the road. But that was it's quite the annoying fiasco. But got all the way home. So sometime we'll start diving into this guy. But in the meantime, the biggest priority is just getting it inside the garage and keeping it completely out of the weather. Because like I said, it's not perfect, but you guys can see that on film. If you're 8 feet away, it looks absolutely perfect. It's not until you start zooming in that, oh yeah, there's some nicks, there's some pour over spray, but it'll still do quite well at car shows and whatnot. So we're just kind of trying to preserve it the way it is, even though it's not perfect original. It's not even original, but we'll do what we can so it can retain its current condition. But with the wheels, we are going to put different wheels on it. The car had came with the original 13-inch Steelies, and they too were painted at the same time the car was, and they look just fabulous, especially with their chrome pieces installed, and all of which are in really good shape. But I am missing a couple on these wheels. Luckily I have spares. But anyhow, I can't stand how these 13s handle going down the road. These feel so squishy and sloppy compared to the 15s that I've been putting on all these guys. If you go, the 15s make it ride pretty firm, and they keep the car extremely planted. I'm pretty sure if you go bigger in diameter than that, you're just going to make the ride real bumpy. It'd be comparable to taking a tractor down a dirt road. Anyhow, but also finding the correct size 13-inch tires for these is nearly impossible. You can see that someone had no such luck either. They had settled on, what size are these guys here? 165/80 13s. So these are pretty close. They're just a size or two off. And these are dated 2001. And you can tell that's what happens. Whether they look dry rotted or not, I guarantee that they are. Someone had this guy up to, I don't know, 55 miles per hour, or maybe it was kind of flat and someone just refilled it in the garage. But either way, that made an explosion about as loud as a shotgun fired right next to your ear. And well, these tires are no good. That's why I had to bring a sacrificial Cougar tires in wheels. So yeah, anyhow, in the meantime, we'll find some nice wheels to put on it. But I do have these for shows, so I'll find some sort of 13s I can throw on these guys just to take it to shows. But if we start driving it a lot, it's going to get some sort of nice 15s put on there. But yeah, that's about all there is to it. We've got a lot of fun stuff planned for this guy, but it's going to take a little while to get there. Like I said, I need to go through the engine before I start doing too much with this. And then once I do that, I need to go through some electrical components were unplugged underneath the hood. And a lot of vacuum parts were as well. TFI ignition. So I'll need a wiring diagram for this. This is going to be different than most of my 82 stuff. So I also got a few manuals to order up, it seems. So we got a little bit of work ahead of us. It won't be too bad, but there's going to be some effort involved between making it look as perfect as we can make it, I suppose, but then also making it mechanically perfect, which I have an easier time doing. But yeah, keep an eye out. You'll be seeing this guy more and more, but don't miss out, because we will be working on some of these other EXPs and Escorts. We got many more to do. I got many more to get down here. But yeah, I'll catch you guys later.